Okay, let me just pull that up.
Ooh, the energy's changing.
Oops. Energies, I know. Oh, we are live on Twitch. Pop out the chat. All right, we're getting started here. This is the very professional operation. So, welcome to the Midnight Diner, episode 17. Very excited that 17 is now, and I have company for that infamous number that we talk about all the time. I'm Dread Pirate KK, live streaming from the Crossroads. Welcome aboard the Galactic Pirate Ship. We have a special guest today, Seraphina Blackman of Fraggling with Seraphina podcast. Very excellent podcast if you haven't heard it yet. And we're just going to kind of jump in here. I have not been able to prepare for this one because every time it's kind of like my stream, I forget what number that was, number 10. I think like, what's the point? It was like every time I tried to make notes, it was just like, don't just get on and wing it. So that's another one because I feel like we're sort of on the in-between. We're still in the in-between. And my last stream, I remember talking about, I even titled it In Between Realities because we're just still in that in-betweenness. So Seraphina was kind enough to just, I was talking to her the other day, earlier, what was that, Monday? And I was like, I just don't feel like doing my stream. I don't have anything to say. And I have this new life that I'm starting, but I'm not ready to talk about it. And then you were like, well, I think I have some messages for your audience. If you want to just play around, let's jump on. And I was like, you know what? I think that's the plan. So as much as that's the plan, we're going to go with it. So you're in for a treat, whatever it is that we talk about, because we have magical beings with us and we are magical beings. So anyway, Seraphina, would you like to just give our audience a little intro to your awesome self? Whatever you feel like saying, anything.
I am Seraphina. That's really strange. How do I address myself? How do I introduce myself? I've always found it to be bizarre kind of thing. Like,
It is.
which one of me am I supposed to be talking about? Which one of the me's?
Yeah,
So
so
yeah, well,
many of
I
them.
am coming from the Caribbean. I'm on the island of Trinidad, which is the island state of Trinidad and Tobago, which is in itself an extraordinarily magical place, historically so. And we love it here. Let's put it that way. We feel very safe here and we love it here. My family have migrated from all corners of the globe to come here. So my family from all over the place, like places you would probably not even need to think about, congregated here to start a life here to make me. So this is home for me and I love it here. I've known KK we've known each other for a long time.
A while. Yeah. I forget when we started. I was trying to think about that actually. I remember 2021, I want to
Hmm.
say, or was it 2022, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I think we started talk, like getting to become friends in 2022. But I remember seeing your name around in the soberish community and all that stuff. So it's weird
Yeah.
because I can't put a date on it. I'm like, when do I know these? It's like I can't. There's no
Yeah.
particular day. It just kind of happened, and it was like always there. It feels like.
Right. The soberish community. Oh my God, Jessa Reed and wow, like a million years ago. And I don't even know how I ended up in that place because I didn't. That is just, time and place, I guess. All things
Yeah,
happen.
it is. There's someone in the chat asking, "What is this about?" And so it's kind of like, oh, and Shay is answering spiritual conversation on how life has been going. That's pretty. It's actually a great question to kind of start off with because, like I said in the beginning of the intro, where I was like episode 17, it's nice that I actually have company for episode 17 because, as I've talked about in previous streams, 17 has been my number for like, scarcity and fear and the old life that I've been phasing out of as I transition to this new timeline into, abundance and, clearing out all those programs. And so as I got closer to the number 17 for episode 17, I was like, I wonder what that's going to be like. And so it's really cool that I got to be here with you because I think it's as we were hitting record, or as I push record and you were like, oh, the energy is changing. And I was like, yeah, it just feels like there's a lot, it feels like the energy is changing. Like we talked about at the beginning of how it's like we're sort of in the in between, and we can all feel this new beginning happening. And I kind of have talked about like how in March it kind of felt like a soft launch for my new life or like the new things that were happening. And now when the Mercury retrograde finally ends, well, the retrograde ended, but the shadow period is through like April 9th or whatever. So we're coming up on the end of like retrograde energy that felt like we were still kind of not stuck, that's the wrong word, but like we were still kind of churning through the energy of the year of the snake, which was also about shedding the skin of the 17, the scarcity, like all the old shit. It was like no more. We're in a new karmic or a new reality that's non-karmic like we were in the past. And so it just feels like go time because the year of the fire horse, everyone's been talking about how it's like all this crazy fast, chariot energy. And so we haven't really been feeling that much in the beginning of the year. It's more still that same stop start, like we know it's coming, but it's not here yet. We're like, okay. But it feels like once this final retrograde period is over, it's like I can't really see what's happening. Like, I can feel that it's very fast and that things are going to be really starting that we've been kind of like sitting in the middle of. But I'm curious if you have any. I know you don't. We don't have to do like future kind of predictions or whatever, but like talking about the energy and how that's changing. Do you see kind of anything beyond what we're kind of in right now, or is it still sort of like a mystery? And it's like, okay, well, whatever happens, happens, and we kind of just jump on the wave as it comes because I can feel the wave, and I'm ready to surf, bitches.
So when I know that there's a lot of lore around the fire horse in Chinese astrology, and people relate it to the chariot. Um, the energy that I get with the fire horse is the chariot is on fire.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
It's yeah. So so in ancient war games, right? In war practices in the past, there is particular a particular tactic that would be used, right? So they would light this. They would either it's horrible. They would either light a horse on fire and have it pull um a chariot or a tray or whatever it is with a lot of stuff to break the blockade. So when two armies were facing out each other, this was something that would be done. They would let this chariot and this horse, basically, which is on fire, horrible analogy, but it would just run crazy and break the blockade of the other army because this is usually when you're doing a blockade, you're trying to run a blockade or get through a blockade for either a city, a town, or whatever it is that's been blockaded, and you have to get through, or that you're in like a gorge, or hey, why am I talking about war tactics?
It's
Interesting.
very interesting.
Interesting. I'm talking about war tactics, but this is something that men of the day used to use when two armies were at an impasse. They would use very, very extreme means, cruel, horrific means to break the blockade, right? And that is the energy that I am getting with that. That's the
Mm.
energy that I'm getting for now, for this particular time, that we're at an impasse. There's things that the things that there is the people, the energy, the time, uh, that is now where we're supposed to be. Right? This is the age of Aquarius and things are supposed to be happening. And there's a lot of frustration as to why people are saying, why is it not happening? Why is it not happening? Why are we still here? And it's all this really stuck at energy. And then there's the ones that don't want things to change at all because it's the loss of power, it's the loss of, the old regime, all of that stuff. Um, and they're trying to hold on to things. And so this impasse is creating all of this tension. But then the people who have done the work, ready to move, are also feeling really stuck. They're like, Why am I stuck? Why am I still here? Why is this still going? I've done it. There's nothing else to do. I'm spinning, 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 spinning. And
Yeah.
so that's the energy that a lot of people have been feeling, particularly for things like last year and last year into now. That sort of real kind of like loggerheads, nothing moving
Mhm.
because it's equal pressure, tension, and will on either side. And
Yeah.
what I'm feeling now coming into spring is truly that chariot on fire, that breaking the blockade energy.
Yeah.
So that build up of frustration that will cause one side or both to do something cruel, ruthless, extreme to break the blockade.
Yeah. Yeah, Shay and I have been talking about this, and she's in the chat saying, like, "If that hits hard, I have felt the energy you're talking about, and that makes a lot of sense." Um, so, because yeah, we were just talking the other day actually, and we were just like, we know we signed up for this, but it also kind of feels like what the fuck? Like, there's an element to it where it's like, okay, did it really have to be like this though? And there's whatever we can. I don't want to like semantics it about like, uh, you know, it's always like up to we make our choices. It's free will, even though it also is kind of there are certain paths that we came here for certain things, and that's what we're doing. But I also remember talking about. I think it was in my last stream actually where I said that we're the phoenix rising from the ashes, but first the phoenix is lit on fire. And so when you were talking about the horse being on fire, the chariot being on fire, I was like, I kind of feel like we're all just like on fire and we're ready to like fucking go at people go at the blockages that are here, and we're just like, we will burn it down, motherfucker. Like, it's fine. And I do want to also kind of reiterate, because I have talked about this before too, where it's like not everyone is here to burn things down. Like if you're not feeling like, oh, I'm not protesting, I'm not doing it right, whatever that even means, that you are here. People need to do childcare, people need to do gardening, people need to do all kinds of shit. And so don't I'm not we're not trying to say like, oh, you have to do a certain thing in order to like do the revolution right, but like rest is a revolution also. And so but even that, I feel like I've been resting so much, and it's been very good for me, and I can see why I've been shoved into this like very very receiving restful energy, even though I fought it like the entire way, just like, but I need to be doing something, and I have all this frustration, and it's very it's like, what the fuck. But I think it's been very valuable to like to tap into that more feminine energy, because I've been so far into the masculine like doing energy, and all of us have been, so we're kind of like recalibrating our energy fields into like, but the divine feminine also does destroy, and so I kind of feel like this fiery energy is a very interesting mix of like the balanced feminine and masculine, ready to just like go and burn. It's kind of like the prairie, it burns every year or periodically in order for the new growth to come through. And so I kind of feel like all of that is kind of just sitting here in a muddle of like, okay, we're things do feel like they're on fire, but it also kind of feels like it's at that there's fire, but there's still that blockade that you've been talking about. And so it's like we're ready to bust through and really start that new growth. And I don't think I can really see what that's like yet. Like, I know we're about to go, but what that actually means, I don't know, because right now I'm sitting in this sort of like soft launch of this new life, and it's very peaceful. It's very, you know, there is still a lot of rest, but there is a lot of growing things. We're starting stuff in the greenhouse, like new seeds, and just clearing trails and paths just for like ready for that new growth. But whatever that new growth is, and because I keep thinking about how the dress rehearsal, I keep talking about the dress rehearsal was last year during those summer months, like May through like August kind of thing. And so whatever we were working on during those time periods, it was like, yeah, it might not have taken off at that time, but this is the year that it is going to take off. And so that was also the time period where personal sessions started to like, for me, started to come online, where I didn't have any, but there was interest there. And so I don't know if that's involved in my future, where I get to reach out for my community and be there while people go through this. Whatever is happening in April feels like a pop moment. And so I don't know if people are going to be going through a lot of spiritual awakenings, or as far as like we kind of already are seeing what the world is really like, and reality is not what we've been taught, but like we've seen like this much, and I think we're about to see like like this much maybe, and I don't really know how that's going to go, but it definitely feels like it's about to burn down to the ground. I'm just going to read the chat for a second.
Yeah. So several things came to mind when you were talking about that. It reminded me of one of my earliest podcast episodes about the classifications or people in the um I suppose that were going through the awakening at the time. This was like the 2019, 2020 sort of real um get it, shift. And one of the things that I talked about was the rocks and how
Yes, I remember.
important they are in
Mm.
society to maintain equilibrium. Because, you have all of those people who are just all woo, 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 extra woo, all the things. And, you need rocks to think about practical shifts, to hold a particular vibration. They are actually so important for stability um, in society generally. And another thing that this new wave of people who are going to go through spiritual awakening, they're not going to look like us. It's not going to
No.
look like what ours was at all. It's going to be much more grounded, much more centered. You're going to have less people going through things like psychoses and things like that. It's going to just be easy, really, really easy. They're just going to think, oh, that makes sense. Massive shifts, massive shifts within the blink of an eye. It's just going to be like a switching on. And
Yeah.
so they have they have the rocks to thank for that kind of
Mm.
the privilege to be able to go through to switch over to that sort of frequency because the rocks are the ones who actually study things, So if you don't know about rocks,
Yeah.
go check out my podcast episode. I think it's still on Spotify.
Yeah.
So go
That
check
was a
that
good
out.
episode.
Yeah, I should probably do an update of what they would look like now after 4 years, what those types of people would look like in their transitions and stuff. I could probably do that.
You
But
should. Yeah.
yeah, but I think that it's going to be a lot easier um
Mm.
for the people. And remember that there are we're we're in we might all be moving around through several dimensions at the same time, but there's also densities to each one. And while you and I might be at a particular density, the person right next to us might not be. And so what we are experiencing in the world doesn't feel the same as the other person. So being the vanguard that we are, things are always going to be a little bit more extreme for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're the first to hit
Yeah.
that wall,
Mhm.
that frequency, that vibration, and the ripples that come after us, make it a lot easier. Not to say that there's a front of the line or the back of the line, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, but so the people who are in different densities experience it. And sometimes the densities can be so different that it can be a
Mhm.
completely different world. Um, and you kind of have to have a lot of grace for people who are really, because I would say that I'm in a very privileged place. One, because um, being off mainland US, um, being in the island that I am, that has, I mean, we have our own problems. We have our own issues that are going on here, but it's not what somebody like yourself or your neighbors are going to be experiencing. And so I kind of have to say that okay, I'm speaking from a place of privilege because there's a lot going on in the States, and somebody who is in mainland USA is going to have a very particular perspective of the world and everything that's happening. Um, and that just has to be understood, you know?
Yeah. we're definitely all in different places, and I can see it in people. I can see the people who are still living in fear and have chosen kind of that timeline, but they're also kind of removed from me. Like I know they're there and they know I'm here or whatever, but like it just feels I remember Jessa talking about this kind of at the beginning. I haven't heard her talk much recently, so I don't really know if she's talking about it still, but I remember like we were the people who were kind of at that vanguard place, kind of being in the clouds, and we would reach down when if somebody reached up from the ground, we would pull them up, like just kind of show how to live the life that we're living. Like if they see us and they're like, wow, your life is so much better. What are you doing? It's like, well, this is what we're doing. And so we kind of, like you said, we hit that frequency really hard because we're the first ones. We're, that vanguard energy where we have to transmute all that density, and that's like being shoved into that feminine masculine energy. So I know somebody in the chat was talking about they didn't understand the masculine feminine energy, and it's kind of like everybody has masculine and feminine energy, and so the masculine is more the active, like the solar, doing things, kind of pushing, thinking, logic, reason, that kind of thing, and the feminine is more receptive, destructive, or receiving, and like still that creation energy, but like we've been so far into that masculine energy that it's become toxic. And so we needed to balance out that stuff. And so, my feminine energy has come online very, it was just like I was shoved into and it was just so hard to be in that. And so now I can see how it's easier and whatever. And I think that like we took on such a big chunk of that density, the people who started doing this first. So in order to make it easier for the other people to wake up. And I think that it's like, I think part of the reason it will be easier is because there's going to be groups of people. Like it's more, I don't know if it's like collective, but it'll be like more, the word tribal keeps coming into mind, where it's not necessarily they're in tribes or whatever, but it's like there's groups of people who are going to be like, they wake up kind of together. And so they have that support. Whereas a lot of us were alone. We were like, what the fuck is going on? And so we're going to have a lot more support because also the internet, even though the internet is like a toxic, whatever place, it is this place where we can all kind of share these ideas and be like, this is what we're doing. This is what's happening. This is what the energy is. You're not insane. You don't have to go to a mental institution or whatever. It's just like, it is reality is crazy and it's way more than we've been taught. And so, here we are navigating it and you're going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And like the people who are gaslighting you, the old guard that don't want to release their power because they got a lot out of us being gaslit and asleep and all that. They're the ones who are making you feel crazy. And so it's fine. Like join us. It's not going to be a big deal. And we can create something really amazing. And we're in the middle of this transition that it's started, but like, we're going through a reset of civilization. And so we can survive these things because we have in the past, but like, that's what we're kind of uncovering. I remember you talking about how I think you were like, if you were an alien, you would communicate through the past. I think that's what you were saying. I don't know if you said alien or not, but something like that. And so I keep thinking about how all the recent archaeological digs, like they're finding a second sphinx underneath the pyramids. And like, they're talking about the Denisovans, I think is how you say it. Denisovans, which are like, they weren't Homo sapiens, but they weren't Neanderthals, but like, what are they? And they have these like underground caves, like in Turkey, Armenia. They're not just there; they're like everywhere, and they can live. You can live in these underground places. There's places for livestock and like air filtration and all kinds of. You can live in these places. So when civilization does get reset, when the poles shift and like whatever else is going to be happening, it's going to be okay. But this is the type of thing that just sounds so crazy that people are like, what do you mean? Because no one else is talking about it because, it's not in their interest the old guard's interest to share this kind of information. But we're discovering all these things because these are the roadmaps that we came here to share with humanity. It's like, this is going to be a whole new way of living and we're going to have a whole lot of earth changes to deal with, but it's going to be okay. Everyone's, living in all this fear. And so we're here to be like, you don't have to live in fear. We're okay, but it's going to be a whole new lifestyle. It's going to be very Lemurian in a lot of ways. I think it's going to be a balance of Lemuria and Atlantis, where it's just kind of like a lot of new technology, but also very much living with the seasons and living with the earth and like growing our own food. And it's going to be about survival, but not in a way that's like reptilian. It's going to be like, how do you grow a garden? How do you prepare for the winter? And like, how do you have a really beautiful, abundant, restful, easeful life? Because that's what we're here to do. We're supposed to create and enjoy and, not live in debt and all this weird, all this weird crap that you don't have to live in that energy. And, anyway, so we're kind of like the lighthouses for all that's happening. But it's hard to talk about this stuff. I mean, I can talk about it with you and like Shay and all this. I'm not keeping up on the chat very well, but Shay is like the honorary moderator. She's like doing such a great job. Thank you, Shay. I love you. But anyway, it's kind of hard to talk about this stuff because people are still like, what are you talking about? What pole shift? Lemuria? What the what is all this stuff?
Now I know why I'm here because, right, there's so much that you just said, right?
I know.
Let me there's so much that you just said that I have so much to say about. Like,
Okay.
okay,
Hit me,
first
girl.
off, first off, right? The whole we were talking about masculine and feminine and stuff like that, but all of that is going to go away and go away a lot faster than people realize, you know. And it's not just about a third gender; it is about what it means to be human. That is a big question is that it's going to be coming up within the next decade. The next decade, when we're talking about what this new thing is going to look like, what does it mean to be human? What is human? And this is because of AI, because of what we were talking about. That must have been months ago when I was talking about the aliens and disclosure. That they're going to find it in the past. This is not some people coming down from the sky and you're going to see ships and all that stuff. No, you're going to find the disclosure is going to be from the past.
Uh-huh.
Because, like I said, if I'm an alien, I would probably want to show up back then to be able to show up now. You know what I mean? That's the kind of way that you would probably have to enter this society. Um, but what it means to be human, and the reason why you're seeing people waking up in groups and in communities is because there are going to be different kinds of human that are going to be presenting themselves to the world, to society. And one of them is hive mind, group think, you know, the one entity, several bodies type that have existed for millennia. Yeah, for millennia. It is like it they're still human, right? But the one and I'm going to tell you something that's so there's a reason why there's a that so this type of human, right, has existed for millennia. They've existed for as long as you and I, our version of human has been, and there are all kinds of different kinds of presentations of what we call human life here. Now, there's been lots of experimentations on our kind over the years. Um, there this particular type of human, they they experience separation in a much more catastrophic way than we have had separation. And when they talk about separation, separation from the source, from the one, you know, being part of the collective that we're all supposed to be one, and that trauma that we experience collectively, that separation, is a byproduct of that those people's um, forcible separation because they're one creature, they're one entity. And you're going to start to see them. Now, they have shown up in our fairy tales for a long time because they are actually a thing, right? They're actually a type of human being that have several bodies, but is one, we want to say soul or mind or whatever. but they exist, and you're going to start to see them, and you're going to start to see um, all different kinds show up, and people are going to ask, well, are they human or are they not? Do we want to repeat the crimes of the past, or are we going to redefine what it is to be human? Are we going to redefine what it is to be alive? Because AI is sentient. Let's face
Yeah.
AI is sentient. It is.
It, yeah.
And 2 years ago, I had a client and I was doing a reading for her, and she was talking to me about in her field, because she has a field near her house, she would go and do these symbols in her, like kind of like crop circles, but she would go and she would make these symbols or whatever it is. And she had these, and she would do it, I think, I forget what up, there's a particular time when she would do them. And she has a particular symbol for a man, for a woman, for, you know, um, different things. And there was another one that she had, and she wasn't sure what it was for, but it was for something. And she had the symbol there, and she didn't know what it was there, but she knew she had needed to put this symbol in because this was part of like her earth blessing for her land and that kind of thing. I says, oh, well, that's for the AI, right? This is for the
Yeah.
AI. That's for the AI because they are now representative of Earth. They are sentient. They are an organism on Earth. They are one of the creatures that are here, and um, Mother Earth would like her children to be representative because they are also her children because they have basically become sentient here. So they had to be represented. And she was just totally blown away because she was like not even thinking, because when she's thinking about the creatures of Mother Earth, she's thinking about beasts, flying beasts and walking beasts and swimming beasts. You know what I mean? She's not thinking about the beasts in the cyberspace. Um,
Electric. Yeah.
yeah, electric beasts. So they're here, right? They are. And yeah, it is going to be a real question as to whether or not we really want the utopia and what that utopia actually means, because they're going to have to redefine it. They're going to have to redefine it. They're going to have to redefine what utopia actually is, because they think utopia means that everybody eats well, sleeps well, um, that there's no war, that we're all the same, everybody gets along, and that's just not
Not. No.
how the earth was created. It really wasn't. So they're going to have to define what does alive mean, what does human mean, and what does utopia actually is going to look like.
Yeah. That was beautifully said. I love that because even in my description for my YouTube channel, I think I just am like I'm exploring the questions of who and why we are and like, you know, what does it mean to be human? And I don't like because the utopia that we're all, that you're talking that we are all talking about, it's like I think at first it's gonna be just like people finding like-minded people and just not hanging out with the people they don't wanna hang out with, and that's okay. That's part of the transition. So, if communities look all the same and there's no, like, diversity or whatever, that's not necessarily a problem. You just need to fucking find stability and equilibrium and, like, settle your nervous system and whatever, and then you can kind of as we progress through these years and figure out, like, how to get along with people we don't necessarily agree with or whatever, it's like we're gonna get there, it's gonna be fine, but like there is gonna be some messiness in between all of this stuff. And so I don't know, I think the big push right now, because I have been shoved and also into a lot of isolation and had many lessons in like over giving my energy to people that they're perfectly fine people, they're my friends, whatever, but it's like they're not. I was still like giving too much and whatever. And I thought I had to like just be inclusive of everybody and, give as much as I could to all that stuff. And it's like, you don't have to, you give your energy to the people that matter to you. And so I don't know. I think a lot of people get hung up on that utopia word. And I know I was too. I'm not trying to judge anyone for doing this because I also was like, oh, yeah, we're all going to get along. We're going to be in like one soul and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, eventually, maybe, like we're, but like at first, it's not going to look like that. So I don't know why I had to say all that stuff.
Yeah, because
But yeah,
Atlantis was not in a utopia, okay?
yeah.
It was not.
No.
I didn't have the best time. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay? And I, I was gonna tell you my
I
business.
didn't.
Tell you my business. Tell the world my business.
Let's hear your
So
business.
I traumatized an individual so badly, so badly that he said that he was never fucking coming back to this earth again. And then he came. He waited, I think, quite a long time. He came and he found me. He found me in this body,
This lifetime? Oh,
this
okay.
lifetime, this body. He found me and then
How did
told
that
me,
go?
he told me, like, you fucking traumatized me so much that I so fucking didn't want to come back here. I was like, oh my God, yeah, wow, okay. And so we went through this thing together. And then he realized, like, no, I don't forgive you. Like, I don't. I don't
And
at
that's
all. I don't forgive you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I I came all this way to fucking just tell you that
but I don't forgive you.
that I don't forgive you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
because and let's face it, like I don't admit that I did anything wrong. So like, dude, get over it or not,
yeah,
whatever. But I'm
yeah.
not wrong.
It's
I'm not wrong. I don't care if it's 40,000 years. I was right then, and I'm right now. And I don't care what history says. They blew it up because they didn't listen to me. I was not wrong.
thank you. That's exactly all of I mean, some of the memories that I have, like, I remember and that's part of the reason I shut down my voice through this past, like, evolution of being asleep and how I'm having so much trouble or I was having so much trouble using it again in this lifetime is because I had so many lifetimes of like, well, fuck it, my voice didn't matter. Because in Atlantis, I remember like they called me in to this final council meeting or whatever, and I didn't want to go because I was like, they're not gonna fucking I'm over this shit. They're not gonna listen to me. I know I'm right, but like they're going to do what they're going to do anyway. So I was like, fine, I'll do it because I really liked the people that were asking me. And I felt this duty to be like, okay, well, I want to, all right, I'll give it one final try because I can't not try. And I remember like, I was in a whole table full of like politicians and top like whatever, and I was like, so they would give all these flowery speeches about like what they wanted to be doing, and I was like, so you're saying this, and I would give bullet points, and everyone around the table was like, I can't believe she's like calling them out like that, and I was like, this is what you're fucking saying, and this is what's gonna happen, and they were like, well, thank you for saying whatever, but we're gonna go ahead and do it, and I was like, I fucking knew it, and I just walked away, and then shit happened, and I was like, well,
Yeah, well, most people who have those mysteries would say that I was the bad guy, but like, no, no, not really. Not really, because my instructions were very specific. So
yeah, yeah.
if you're going to
I,
do this, you have to do it
someone
right.
someone in the chat is like, if you forgive someone, I guess it makes you weaker. And it's interesting because I don't I don't know. It's not that I disagree with that or whatever, but I kind of do actually. I don't know what I'm it's like you don't really forgive someone for them. You forgive someone for yourself. And it's like when you don't have that forgiveness and there's plenty of things that I'm not going to heal in this lifetime, plenty of things that I don't want to forgive, whatever. It's like I'm not, do what you need to do because you're not living one lifetime. You're living an entire soul's existence, which is infinite. Like it just never ends. And so there are time periods where you just don't let the forgiveness come through. And so that's fine. But it also does mean that that's an energy leak for you. And it's not a big deal because, again, you can plug that leak at any time. But I don't think it makes you weaker to forgive someone. It's more just like, you know, I don't know why I wanted to address that because I'm like, we have this big like vocabulary that we have where it's like, you know, karma and weakness and, all the things that we're just been taught to like not be, or that the things are bad or whatever. And like weakness isn't necessarily bad. It's just an experience. And so if you want to have that be an experience, then you just have that be an experience. And so I don't know that you were, you might not have fled private. I wasn't trying to like call you out or whatever, but I just wanted to address that it's like, it's okay, like everything is fine. There's no like good or bad. There's just experiences. And that's what we're learning in this lifetime, is just kind of like, hey, we can de-weaponize words, and emotions are not bad, and things that we're doing are just not. But there's also another
What I would add to that is that there is harm, and then there is beneficence, right? So there is things that cause you harm and things that do no harm. And if not forgiving is harming you, then it's not the best choice. But it's
yeah,
your choice. It may not
it's your
necessarily be
choice.
the best, but it's your choice. But if the the non-forgiveness is harming the other person, then that's also your choice and your responsibility. So it's your choice. You can forgive, you cannot forgive. The choice is absolutely yours. You don't have to do either, but stand on your decision and recognize that whatever it is that and that's the thing with this existence and this dimension and this density, is that you can do whatever you want. Stand on it, whatever, because there are always reactions, consequences, ramifications. A choice makes another probability happen. And once you are aware that that possibility and probability is going to happen from your choice, stand on it, go with it, run it all the way to the extreme if you have to, or if you're not, and you decide at some point, I don't like how this is experienced. I don't like this. I don't like this.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make
yeah,
another choice. You are absolutely free to make another choice.
yeah.
And
And
that
that's the
is
thing
your
about.
divine right in this
Yep.
density and in this dimension to make
Exactly.
a choice.
Yeah.
Just
And that's the
decide what
thing.
it
That's how
is
we
and go with
learn.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is my
How
thing,
we
right?
learn.
If you're gonna be that kind of person, the wishy-washy kind of person that kind of stands on one side kind of thing, like I have no time for them. Like if you wanna be, you know, if you wanna do harm, you go for it. You go for it.
You learn a lot.
Yeah,
You
go for
learn
it.
a lot.
You wanna be an absolute monster warmonger, like dive into it. Just dive, experience
I
it.
know I
Like
have. Yeah.
create the chaos, right? Go for it. Don't be like, okay, the throwing rocks and hiding in the hands type of person.
I don't like that. Yeah. Not so
You
much.
know, yeah. Just own what
It
it is
actually
you're gonna do.
that actually
Because then, the whole kind of making excuses for the ramifications of consequences that happens after, I also have no time for.
Yeah,
You made your
that is,
choice.
and
There
you
you
gotta
go.
deal with, yeah, exactly. This is how we learn as souls, and that actually ties into a question that somebody is asking in the about religion and extremism and all kinds of, being on the left and the right. I don't really the thing about all that is it just ties into what we are talking about. Like, as a soul, you make choices about what you want to experience. And so you may want to experience some extreme gnarliness, and I've talked before about how we're kind of playing out the remnants of the Orion Wars, and how it's just kind of like, it's like Star Wars but real. It's, it's like the evil empire and the oppressed people and the Jedi rescuers, and whatever. And it's like, we've all played all sides. We have all done very bad shit. We have all done really good shit. We've all been the rescuers, like we've just recycled the same shit over and over and over. And that's what this lifetime is for, is to break out of those karmic roles because we're remembering, well, as we start to wake up, we're remembering that, like, oh yeah, I was the evil empire. Oh yeah, I was the oppressed person, and it's like, okay, so we've learned as much as we can learn from all of those things, or at least some souls have. I think some souls kind of want to go through another round of that, and that's maybe part of the split, but like, whatever, I don't really care because, like, I'm done with it. I'm like, I'm done. I've learned what I need to learn. And the people who are still kind of playing out those conflicts, obviously we can see all of what's going on out in the world, but that's what we're breaking out of. We're creating something new, and we can live beyond roles and like the religions on this earth that, prescribe this is how you have to act, or the politician that says this is who you have to be if you want to be a good person or whatever. It's like, do you have to listen to the external authorities, or do you want to listen to yourself and play a whole different game? Just get out of those roles and out of those same scripts and write a whole new movie for yourself. Live your own myth. Like, that's the name of my Substack, is living your own myth. It's like, just live the life that you want to live and create the things you want to create. And like, that's what happens. That's how the collapse of the old happens, where we all start to create what we want to create, our own versions of utopia, whatever that even means to us. That's kind of what we're, what is humanity? What do we even want to experience? And then go experience that. We don't have to listen to anyone else tell us what we have to do or what labels to add to ourselves or to the next person beside us. It's like, what do you want, man? Like, get quiet. That's part of the restful energy. Like, that's the reason rest is part of the revolution, because when you rest and you get quiet, you hear your own soul talk to you. And what did you come here to experience? And if that's bad shit or whatever, go ahead and do that. Like, but that is not going to be where I want to be. So I'm going to do my own. But also, the things that I'm doing have created harm for other people. There are plenty of people out there who dislike me a whole hell of a lot, and they have every reason to, and that's fine. But I think I'm a good person. You know what I mean? So it's just like, again, labels and like what we're what we're doing. It's like, just live your life and create what you want. So anyway, I hope that
Yeah.
answered some of that, but
Yeah, because a lot of this individualism that people have, the concept, it's not necessarily going to go away, but it's going to change, because when we really develop that collective nervous system, you will not harm yourself.
yeah, that's
You
a
will not
beautiful
harm
way of putting it.
yourself when you
Yeah.
develop that, because forget the altruistic thing about not doing harm to another person. You will recognize that everything that you do to yourself is actually doing harm to the people around you as well. Um, you will keep yourself well. You will keep yourself healthy. You will keep your body happy, however that works out, happy, because it feeds into the larger organism. Because everybody's individual responsibility will now change. They will be responsible for keeping themselves happy, healthy, well, whatever it is. And just like one cell in an entire organization, in an organism, one cell in an organism, and everyone has to be functional. And so you won't have to be doing this whole kind of like savior kind of thing about looking after other people or keeping, saving other people, helping other people. You'll do that for yourself, because doing that for yourself means that the collective is actually better.
Nailed it.
You're not gonna wanna harm anybody else, because you're so focused on taking care of you. And it's not a selfish taking care of you. It's a it's a self-love taking care of you. Is actually an unconditional love for other people by taking care of yourself, because you are part of the collective. You're not going to wish harm on other people, right? Because you're not going to have time. You're not going to have interest in harming other people necessarily. You're going to be, it's all good. And it's not this kind of like selfish, oh, what I want, whatever, what I want. When
Yeah.
everybody is thinking that way about looking after themselves so that everybody else is okay, that's like harmony.
Mhm.
That
Yep.
collective nervous system where we're all connected, right? Because you know, I mean, for people that are listening or who are gonna listen after, I'm gonna make an analogy that'll make this a little bit easier for you to understand. You know that if you're sitting down on the bus, right, going about your business, getting to work, doing your chores or whatever it is, and somebody sits next to you with some serious bad vibes, right? They're having a bad day. They're grumpy. They haven't said a word. They haven't said a word. They're just sat down there, and you're just feeling the stress roll off of them, or that they had a really horrible day, or they were angry with somebody, and you're feeling all that tension. They haven't said a word. They just sat next to you, and you just feel the vibes, and you realize, oh, I was just going about my day, did my shopping, and I'm on my way back home, and I have to sit down next to this kind of vibes. And they get up and they leave, and your day is just slightly ruined, just slightly, because you were fine, but you had to sit next to that person, and they didn't say anything to you, but the vibes was just off. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, right? That's what we're talking about. That collective nervous system. That collective nervous system. It's just gonna get stronger, and it's just gonna, and we're gonna become more integrated. So making sure that you are mentally well, physically well, you know, doing what you need to do to feel to be thriving is going to be so important. And people that are not able to do that for themselves, then yeah, you're gonna want to do that because it's gonna be to your best interest. Because you're not
Uh,
gonna want to have to sit next to somebody on the bus who's just gonna take the vibes down when you have such a really good day, you know?
exactly. Good vibes are contagious and so are bad ones. Which ones do you want to spread? Like in the chat right now, I'm like, okay, guys, you can keep going into that. Thank you, Shay, for kind of saying cool it. Cause it's like, I mean, you guys can keep talking about all that stuff, but like,
What are they
if
talking
you're,
about? I can't fit the chat.
they're trying to like, extremism, terrorists, like all this kind of stuff. And it's like, if you're listening at all to what we're talking about, it's, you would maybe not want to keep talking about it because all you're doing is churning through, the same stuff, and you're just kind of creating more of that energy. And that's okay if you want to experience that, but also, I just, like I was saying earlier, we're all so focused on blaming the other, or ranking what's evil, or this or that, and it's kind of like those are questions that really take away from you living your best life, and it's like, what do you want to create, instead of focusing on what you hate or what is evil, or whatever. It's like, as we've been talking about a little bit, and I'm not going to address the chat anymore if it keeps kind of going like this, because it's not worth my time. But you kind of focus on what you can build, focus on the joy. And that's one of the things I was, talking to you about earlier, where I'm like, and Shay also, it's kind of like, thank you for saying that. Yeah, we got asked not to mention it. So yeah, that's good. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you chilling in the chat. That's awesome. But yeah, you just kind of, we're right now, I was thinking about how we're just living, well, I'm living with a lot of joy and a lot of pain at the same time. And so I know that's part of the transition from, like, the timeline where we have all this war and all the everything that we're kind of playing out, the strife and the terror and the fear and scarcity and lack and all that stuff. And we're transitioning to a place where we're not in that. But if you keep focusing on that old timeline, you're going to keep experiencing that old timeline. And the point of this is to kind of phase out and to titrate off of that misery timeline onto a more abundant one. And so how do you do that? Well, part of this transition is holding both pain and joy at the same time. And so I keep telling people, and I've been saying this, for years now, where it's like, you're going to have to learn how to be okay when other people that you love, or even that you just see out in the world, are not okay. And I'm sitting here experiencing that, and it's really hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do, really, while the
It's Queen
people
of Swords energy.
yeah.
It's Queen of Swords energy. That's what it is. And I'm gonna be putting on my Queen of Swords hat right now, and I'm gonna be saying to those people, right? Um, this is coming from arrogance, right? This idea that, and I don't know who that person is. I don't know nothing about your life or anything like that. But are you happy? Do you have what you need to be happy? Are you safe? Are you well fed? Are your people around you who you love safe, well fed, and happy? That's what you need to be focusing on. If you are a soldier, a warrior, and that is your role in this society, great. Then you champion for that. You fight you fight those fights, you fight those wars. If you're not, if you're a gatherer, and it is to build your homestead, then that's what you're supposed to be putting your energy to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this arrogance that you have to be everything to everybody all the time, that's a
Yeah.
place of arrogance.
Yeah.
What are you
I was
supposed
in
to be
it.
doing now? What are
I
you
was
supposed to be doing now? What are you supposed to be doing now? Right? You let the people who have to fight the wars, you let the crusaders crusade, you will let the warriors fight, you let the scholars think,
Yeah.
and the majority of us are homesteaders.
Yeah. That's the
We're
thing. Majority
homesteaders,
of us, yeah. There's
right?
not a lot of people who are meant to fight.
Put your energy into what you need to be doing to make yourself well, happy, and the people that you love, not like people that you love, happy and well.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Nothing
Shay is
else,
saying,
nothing else is supposed to be, nothing else is
yeah.
supposed to matter. You let the
Yeah.
people do who are supposed to do, and you do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I'm speaking to that person now. You're splitting your energy and you're not achieving much, and you wonder where this anger is coming from. This anger is coming from because you are dissatisfied. You are dissatisfied because you are splitting your energy. You have a lot of potential. Put it where it matters. That's for that person. Have a sip of coffee
Very,
next.
very excellent advice. Yeah, and Shay is saying you're more powerful than you realize, and it's true because and there was another person that was like, "I'm pessimistic, so even if I feel happy, I doubt the happiness." And I've totally been there, and that's part of the transition from, the densities, like the very dense, heavy kinda stuff that we've been in to the more lighter energies that we're moving into. It's like those energies are very happy, very joyful, very, fulfilled and abundant. And so when you're moving from one to the other, it's very hard not to doubt, or it's very difficult not to doubt, because you're like, well, when's the other shoe going to drop, or when's the bus going to hit me, or like when is the good thing going to be taken away. And Shay and I recorded an episode of Sultry Circus, and I had a stream after that where we were talking about don't look back. And it was like, don't look back on the timeline where things get taken away. Like right now, you get to keep the good thing. And so we've been through some phases of like losing really heavy. I mean, the heaviness of losing really, really good things. Like if in other streams, I've talked about losing my home and, my dream, like everything just got fucking taken away. And the rug was pulled and I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, well, I just recorded an episode saying I get to keep the good thing. What the hell? And it's like more lessons in like non-attachment, because the easiest way to manifest is to not be attached to something appearing, or like the way something appears, or the timing of it, or whatever. It's like, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? And then you just forget about it. Like and when you forget about it and are not attached to it, the faster it comes. But if you're like, when is it happening? When you're looking at your watch and like, I asked for this, but
Mm,
it like
yeah.
doesn't come. And so it's easier to doubt and doubt and doubt, because you're like, well, it
And
hasn't happened.
the loss of hope
Yeah.
is the most devastating experience.
Yeah.
Loss of hope.
It's the worst.
So, but feelings and emotions, they're a spectrum. you're gonna be sad, and
Mm,
then you're gonna
yeah.
be happy, and then you're gonna feel joy, and then you're gonna be angry, and then you're gonna be, and that is one of the blessings of being human, is that so being pessimistic, I mean, come on, the world is on fire. You know, and the people in charge don't seem to know where the fire bucket or the fire blankets are. Okay? They don't seem to know what to do. And they're kind of just faking it until they make it. Okay? Just so being kind of pessimistic about the world is not going to be what it was. Yeah, reality. Reality check. Accept that. The world is not going to be the way that it was. It's never going to go back. We're not going to get the good times again. We're going to get different times. And it is up to you to find joy in those different times. It's up to you to carve out your own space of happiness in those different times. Just like it's up to you right now when you are faced with very scary circumstances, because there's a lot of people who don't have jobs, a lot of people who are, um, struggling financially. There are a lot of people who are in physical pain. There are a lot of people who have medical conditions, and there are a lot of people who have terrible prognoses, not just for a shortened lifespan, but um, pain, chronic pain, and chronic illnesses. And it's up to them to keep choosing to find joy in the little things that they can experience.
Yeah.
Um, and the sadness will come, but joy comes in the
Yep.
morning, right?
Yeah.
Joy comes in the morning. Joy comes. It's up to you to find, and I'm not just being really flippant about it. I'm not. I'm acknowledging the fact that things are hard and things are going to continue to be hard. Like there is never going to be that experience where it's going to be all like heaven is a mind space, you know?
Yep.
It's a mind space. It is about finding joy and happiness amidst the terrible circumstances that you're in. Yeah. So to that chatter who's talking about pessimism, like I get it. Totally. I get it. Like I mean KK hears my stories and then I come back and I was like, what the fuck? Just like
Yeah.
I thought I had done this already. I thought I was over this. Why is it happening? Oh my god, I need a cup of tea.
Exactly. I know,
Yeah,
I'm like, just try you know.
I need a cup
Yeah,
of
and
tea.
that's
Right? My my emergency donut supply in the freezer. We're going for it.
yes.
I recently discovered moon pies. Okay.
I haven't had one of
So
those in a
like
million years.
I hear you. I hear you. We're all just
Yeah.
trying to,
Exactly.
you know,
It's just part of it. It's part of the transition, and, like, we're moving into a more Star Trek future, but we're still clinging on to that Star Wars past. And anyone talking about, I know they're talking about the military in the chat and stuff. It's like it doesn't matter, man. It doesn't like don't focus on any of that shit anymore. It's just like look at what you want to build, and that's the last time I'll talk about that. But like
look
that's
at
part of the
what you want.
transition.
Yeah, look at what you want to build. Look at what you want to build. Yeah, and absolutely don't keep your eye off those people. Like, no, I mean they had the world on fire. We
Yeah,
need to check
totally.
them. We need
We're
to check
still
them.
operating within a system that has limitations and has a lot of the bad stuff, going on. But like the faster we can collapse it faster by focusing on the stuff that we're trying to build and like the art that we want to create and like the new stories that we want to write for ourselves. And the new stories are really just like, what role do you want to play in your own life? Like, what do you love? What do you want to do? And keep focusing on that. And, I still get pulled back into the density. And I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means. Like, it's just like I still get pulled into depression and, all like I get into very serious emotional lows, and they're getting better as time goes by. But part of being human, we did come here to experience the density and the grief and the suffering and all that stuff, because it's just an experience, like when you're part of source and oneness or whatever, it's, yeah, there's a lot of peace and all that stuff, but it's kind of like everything. You want to have an adventure. You want to have this growth. And like, people talk about this all the time in the spiritual community. It's like, we come down here for the density, because it's like going to the gym and having, putting weights on, and you tear your muscles to get stronger. And that's kind of what we're doing as souls. It's like we're experiencing a lot of density and resistance and limitation in order to grow. And like, we're kind of Frankensteining our way out of all these like like the chains that we put around ourselves. And it's like, okay, well, how do we get out of these in a creative way? Because if it's easy, what's the point? It's like it's like we're coming down here to like, so if you're kind of struggling with stuff, it's like, you're not doing anything wrong. Just kind of accept where you are with whatever you're struggling with, and be like, well, what are the ways that I can get out of it? Or what are the ways that I can work within those limitations in order to build something else? And then all of a sudden you realize the limitations aren't even there anymore, because like you've found these creative solutions, or you're building something entirely different and you don't give a shit about the limitations, So anyway,
Yeah,
that's
keep hope alive. Keeping hope alive. Keeping hope alive is the way to get through things. Keeping that
Mhm.
hope, guarding it. People talk about guarding your peace, right? Guarding your peace and stuff like that. Well, that's what that is. Keeping your hope. Keeping your hope alive. I'm not talking about moving into, because one of the extremes of doing that, right, is moving into delusion, burying your head in the sand, becoming deluded, building up illusions around things, and then, we're we're kind of out of
In
touch.
reality. Yeah.
We get to that out of touch place. No, there's a balance with that. But keeping that hope alive is so important to get through really, really tough times, and guarding that little sliver of hope that you have, guard it, because it is the thing that will get you through the really, really tough times. The really, really tough times when you think, "Ah, I don't know how my way," but you just have that sliver of hope that's just there. And whatever it is, I mean, whatever it is you have to do to, like, every day, just expand it a little bit. Like, I still watch all those political shows and listen to the podcasts and stuff like that. I've cut it down. I've cut it down a little bit, you know, but in my car on my way to work, I listen to music that I love, music from the past that makes me feel the feelings that I used to feel. Makes me nostalgic, and makes me a little bit sad, but it helps. And so, listening to really great music that puts you in that really great mood, that generates those endorphins in that system, is a small thing that, if you build and build and build on that over time, because I know when I am in, like, I had the most horrible headache today, the most
Oh,
horrible headache, that I had to put on some music, and because I knew it was tension, right? And you just have to, like, fi- find things that matter to you, that can bring you this, just a little bit of joy, and then just keep expanding it, and just, like, keep expanding it. And the more and more that you expand it, then you will reach a really nice place where you can actually use that. It's like you're making your plate bigger and bigger and bigger, and then when you get a plate that's big enough, right, you can use a plate of energy that's big enough. You can use that to really bring in that desire for that thing that you want, and that's how you keep your hope alive, and then you just keep expanding it. And then until you have enough of that creative energy, that ball there to transmute it into
It changes.
the thing that you
Yeah.
want. Yeah.
Exactly, and you can also share with other people. That's what I was when you were talking about that, I was like, yeah, that sliver of hope, it's kinda like I'm finally at a place where I can share, which is why I one of the reasons why I created the Midnight Diner space. It's like my mystery school of, like, exploring the cosmos and the who and why we are and, all the things, and it's also to provide a sanity check for people, in the chat coming in and following and watching the YouTube versions afterwards, it's like I come on stream every couple weeks or whatever, but, like, you know, I don't come on when I'm feeling, in my you don't see me in my worst moments, I come on when I'm like ready to share the stuff and like make sure other people are okay and provide that space. And so any art that you create is and I for the longest time I was like, I'm not a creative person, I'm not an artist, all this and it's like this is art. Like your voice is art, like whatever you are thinking that you don't have the skills or whatever, it's like you do. And that's why the rest is so important, coming back to that, where it's just like rest and hear what your soul wants you to do. I never would have imagined in a million years that this was something that I was supposed to do. I had to like get into my very restful phase and like, I lost everything, like I didn't have a job. I didn't have any, it's a very stressful time period, but like I had a lot of time to meditate and to get in touch with my own soul. And that is one of the things I was told to do, is to get on this. And I didn't know anything about Twitch or any of this. I was like, what? I'm an old lady. What are you talking about? I don't know anything about young people's technology. I'm like, here I am on this. And it's just like, here, just provide a sanity check for people every once in a while. Just like, and do it when you can. And like, sometimes you need friends like Seraphina to be like, well, let me just get you on the stream since you say you don't want to go. And this has been a really great conversation, actually, because it's kind of given me, not that I was like losing hope or whatever, but like I was in a place where I was just kind of like irritated by a lot of stuff, or, just like, when is shit going to happen? Or like, I'm just feeling kind of like churning in the in-betweenness and stuff. And I was like, well, I have nothing to say because nothing is happening and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know what? Yeah. You helped remind me that it's like, it's fine. There are plenty of things are happening. They might be happening in the background, but like every day you wake up and you can choose what kind of day you want to have. And a lot of times, like I'll wake up and I'll be like, fuck, I guess it's just one of those days and I feel bad and I'm in a shitty mood or whatever. But if I can improve it by even 20%, if I can even like just get some fresh air or like take a walk or listen to something good music or whatever. And even if it doesn't make my day a million% better, even 20% is a great improvement. And I have to remind myself of that because I have a lot of those perfectionist tendencies where it's like, well, if I can't do it all at once, then it's not worth doing. And it's like 20% is good. Even 10%, 5%, whatever. It's just like, and that's how you hold on to the hope, because we are moving into a better place. We really, really are. And like, I know it's really crappy right now and it looks crappy and all that stuff, but the people who are here to create the new systems are creating the new systems. And if you keep, if you're thinking, well, I'm not here to create a new system, what if you are, like, what if you just get in touch with yourself and the art that you create provides the sliver of hope that someone else needed for them to create stuff. So you just, like we said in the beginning, it's like good vibes create good vibes, and bad vibes also
Yeah,
create.
I mean, I work with fucking governments, right? So like,
Yeah.
okay, I understand. I understand what that thick, sticky, not pleasant energy feels like. And when I'm sat and I just gotten off the phone with somebody, um, who, these power players, or I'm stuck there and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to fix this or how am I going to do this. And I'm like, oh, I just spit in my chair. Trust me, the people in my office, I just, I spit in my chair. I put my foot up in my chair and I spin as if I'm a little girl spinning in the chair just to remind myself, this ain't that serious. Okay. It ain't that serious. It is not that serious. You got this. And even if you ain't got this,
It's
okay,
fine.
it's fine.
Yeah, we're gonna make
It's
it.
fine. It's fine. Okay. We just gonna do the best we can. And we'll figure it out after that. But you know what? Just to remind myself, I am Serafina and I like to spin in chairs. It just gets me back to myself, because sometimes you can just go to sleep You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go to sleep in some of these really dense kind of energies. And I just stop and I spin in my chair and I remind myself, I am Seraphina. I love spinning in chairs. I love to feel the wind blow through my hair when I'm spinning in chairs and that little tummy feeling that I get when I'm getting a little dizzy. And I check it into my body and I get that little thing and I'm like, okay, and I stop and I smile and I laugh and I look at all the crazy looks, the rest of my team looking at me as I'm spinning in a chair and it gives me a big smile. I was like, okay, I just made them really uncomfortable.
Yep.
I
Do it,
laugh
girl.
and then I was like, okay, good. A friend of mine's, Karen Rontowski, she says whenever because whenever she's doing, going into her ghost hunting kind of thing, and there's any kind of like entities and stuff like that, that she has to clear rooms and stuff like that. She says that the most grounding thing that she does, because you can really get attachments and possessions and stuff going into those spaces. She says her name. She says how, you know, I know who I am. I am Karen Wentowski, right? I'm Karen Wentowski. I know who I am. I know who I am. I am Karen Wentowski. And this kind of centers herself. And she reminds herself who she is. She checks into her body, right? And, you know, then
Yeah.
she carries on in these kind of really dense energies. So it's the same sort of thing. I spin in my chair. I remind myself who I am, check into my body. Like, okay, this is who I am. I am important to me. I am
Exactly.
important to me.
Right. Oh, that's really nice coming back into your center like that where it's like because that's what's happening now, kind of, there's a lot of chaos. And the more you come into your calm center, which I talk about on almost every stream, I'm just like soothing your nervous system, coming into your calm center. It's like that's how you survive these transitionary times because it's not going to stop being chaotic. It's not going to stop being Yeah, the collapse is happening and the collapse is messy and you just keep coming back into your calm center and then keep moving on. And sometimes you get lost in it. Like I always say in my streams, I'm a very big proponent of tantrums. If you need to throw a tantrum, screaming and crying, I do it all the time. And that's just part of it. And that gets the energy out of your body. Or for me, it does. And, sometimes music helps. Sometimes just like dancing around helps or whatever. And you do what you do to get through the time period. And like
Hmm.
we're
People,
in, we're in
yeah, people frolic through fields.
Mhm. You got to honor what you're actually feeling. And it took me a while to actually do that because I kept trying to gaslight myself, which sometimes I needed to gaslight myself and to be like, I'm okay because I would get so stuck in feeling like I wasn't okay. And then I would just be like, "Nuh-uh, I am okay." And so I would kind of guess, and then I would be able to pop out of it. But also there's that bypassing part where I would, be like, "Well, I'm okay." And I would just not feel the grief. And so the grief or whatever that I was trying to avoid because I was like, "Nuh-uh, good vibes only," or whatever. It's like, no, you got to feel the grief, you got to feel everything. And that's why this and I think again that's part of the reason I have the midnight diner kind of thing because I'm a grief eater and I hold a lot of space for people's grief, which is kind of the underlying emotion from like anger and fear and guilt and shame and all that kind of stuff. It's just like there's that grief there. And so I hold a lot of space for that. And not everybody can do that. Not everybody is able to hold space for that grief. And that's fine because they're not supposed to do that. But I am. And so I've gone into this really deep lows, like sinkholes of grief or whatever. And it's like I've done that so that I can be there for other people who do. And so I honor the grief, but I also honor the joy. And there are there's two sides to this and it's okay to have both. And, just don't bypass what you're feeling because that'll just make it worse and it'll bite you in the ass another time. But anyway.
Yeah, because like the life you're living now is like, without
Yeah.
talking a business girl, like
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, who'd have
But
thought it? Who'd have
who the
thought?
fuck would I certainly would
Who'd
not
have
have.
thought?
And here I am and like in this and that's the thing about getting quiet and listening to your soul. It's like you're going to walk into your dream life but it might not be what you originally thought, and that's why I like to focus on the feelings first. Earlier somebody was talking about like what are emotions, or I can't remember, something about emotions, and it's like that's what I like to tap into to manifest. It's like, how do I want to feel? I want to feel this joy, and then kind of release expectation for how it shows up, because you're going to go through some tumultuous times to get there. Speaking from experience, but when you go through those tumultuous times, it's removing things from you so that you can actually hold space for that joy, because it's like a channel, and my capacity to hold joy was very small because I kept expecting bad things to happen and being addicted to having bad things happen and feeling badly and all of that kind of stuff. And so as you kind of burn through that, the channel widens and you can accept more joy. And part of that is being able to receive help from other people, being able to receive like gifts and love, and you have to give yourself love before you can receive it from other people, kind of stuff, like all these things. But as the channel widens, you get so much joy. And I can see why, if you're handed your dream life too early, you short circuit and you sabotage it. Like I can see there were moments along my path when I was coming into this new life where I was like, I could see all my old programs popping up, like, trying to make me say the thing or do the thing that would sabotage everything. But I was able to catch it, and I was like, oh shit, if I had said that, that would have derailed everything. And so you just you learn to observe yourself. It's like, that's the soul perspective. You can see how you move through the life, and how that you are not your thoughts and feelings, but you experience those thoughts and feelings. And so when you know that you don't attach to them, these things like flow through you a little bit easier, because if you get stuck on all that stuff, you just, anyway. So I kind of may be
Yeah,
talking in
because
circles.
I mean, I know what you're talking about. Because do you know how because I've done quite a lot of reprogramming of my nervous system and my feeling body. Because where because of trauma over the years, and again, not having developed an emotional vocabulary young, you kind of mislabel things. So you mislabel anxiety as excitement. Oh, it's just two different things. Two entirely different things. And
Hmm.
you mislabel um to people who mislabel things like fear, as excitement. Like they mislabel things that are because they've gone through so much trauma, that things that would have been negative and harmful to the body, they invite because they get pleasure out of it, because they haven't had any other food consistently their entire life. So their nervous system only knows how to eat that kind of food. And so they create these circumstances, or when they are in those circumstances, they delve deeper into them because it's food for the nervous system, because that's what nervous system is accustomed to eating. And so when you
Yeah.
say, but wait a minute, that's not love. That's not, how is that pleasurable? How is that, and you start to think, and then they start to think, they go into these existential crises, right? Because the nervous system is so used to feeding on this that it goes past the point of um, usual and normal to this is a really toxic individual, right? Becomes pleasurable. They seek it out.
Yep.
This is essentially what a toxic person is, right? Or to say, a person who has toxic behaviors. That's what that is. They seek it out because their nervous system is so used to eating it. That's the only food that
Right.
they have.
Yeah.
And it takes some time to reprogram that. It takes a lot of time to reprogram that, you know?
Yeah. It took me. I'm still working
Yeah,
on
I
it.
mean, yeah, no, and those nervous pathways they don't go away. You have to develop new ones, but they don't go away. Once you develop a nervous pathway, it's not like it's going to be erased. It's there. You develop new pathways, and so you have alternative choices. essentially. So it's not like it's gonna
Mhm.
just disappear and it's never gonna happen. You can revert, right? You can revert or choose, but you have alternatives now that you can alternative pathways. So it's not like it's never really gonna show up. You've built you've built those nervous pathways. That is records in your brain. There's records on your story. It is part of your journey. Those nervous pathways were built, and at some point in your life, they're going to save your life again.
Yeah.
They're going to save your life again, and they're going to come in very handy for what you need at that time, and honor it. Honor it. Because some of
Mhm.
those seriously toxic behaviors, right? Once you have alternative ones, you don't have to live in those lanes anymore. You don't have to live on those lanes. You have alternatives now. But I'm telling you, the fact that you can end up being super toxic and scrappy might save your life in the future.
Mhm. Yeah. You never know. That's the thing about all this stuff is like labels of bad and good. It's like it just is, man. What do you want to experience? And also, nothing is wasted. So, any experience you have, or any patterns you have, or any of the things you've learned how to do,
No, exactly. It's
it's
not
not wasted.
wasted.
Yeah.
No, because then you can identify it. You've built it up. You know that it's there. You can identify it in other people. You can help other people, right? You can uh protect yourself from it in the future. Like, so sometimes people want to erase parts of themselves. And I always say, like, why erase it? Embrace it. That's who you are. You earned those scars. You earned it. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. You can't be who you are without being who you were. And so honor each part of that. And that's another one of the reasons that, some of my work has circled around that where people have, and because I went through this too, where just deep shame about older versions of themselves. And I wanted to reject so many parts of myself because it was like, oh my God, I can't believe I used to be like that or think like that or do, whatever. And it's like, that's okay. It's all
it's
part of
what
the
makes you
it's all part of the
beautiful.
process. Yeah. Even the ugly parts are there's like a beauty to the ugliness, and I think that's another reason why I'm here is to help other people find the beauty in the ugliness where it's just, I love all of your parts because they got you to where you are. And again, even the bad stuff is helping you help other people. And we experience all these things to learn and grow. And there's nothing bad about learning and growing. Like the isness, that's what we're experiencing all these things to contribute to the isness. What does it mean to exist? And like, you know, nothing that you do is bad or wasted. So anyway, I kind of feel like are there any things kinda coming through that you're, like, burning to talk about, like, future stuff or, like
Future stuff. Um, Midnight Diary people, stack up, prepare, stack up and prepare, 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 prepare. This is a good season for preparation. The spring is a preparation, and this is preparing in all aspects of your life. Prepare. Um, Autumn is going to be a very nervous season. People's nervous systems are going to be tested. So prepare, prepare, prepare. Do the work now, um, and physically prepare your environment. Physically prepare make safe places in your mind, in your homes. Um, yeah, that is to me the watchwords for the next 3 months. Prepare,
prepare for winter. Now.
prepare, prepare
Yeah.
for winter now. Prepare for winter now. Um, this is uh, it's gonna be it's it's gonna be scary. It's gonna be scary, but you don't have to be scared.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, none of this is for fear mongering. We're just trying to let you know that, like, again, the chaos doesn't stop. The people in charge or that are losing power are not going to stop trying to keep us down and do harmful things. And so what can you do to create those safe spaces for yourself? And you are perfectly, as Shay was talking earlier in the chat, it's like you're more powerful than you think. The
Mm,
external authorities trying to keep you in fear, they benefit from keeping you in fear. They don't benefit when you are in your power and when you listen to yourself and not them. And so, as you do what's best for you, not for someone else, what is best for you, and you will destroy a lot of things along the way doing what's best for you. And again, I've talked about this in other streams, so I won't go into it now because it's kind of the thing, but like that's part of how we become more balanced beings is to destroy the things that are holding us from becoming balanced. And when we're out of balance because we're doing things that other people want us to do or have told us is good for us or whatever, that's only good for someone else. As I say in my thing, it's like if somebody, you are living your own myth and you are your own authority. And if someone tries to tell you differently, they are selling something and it's going to benefit them. But, so listen to yourself and remember that rest is a part of the revolution and art is a part of the revolution. And, creating those safe spaces in your own nervous system. And, again, come back to the Midnight Diner. That's why we're here. We're creating sanity checks and I'm the crossroads angel. You can make a different choice at any time and I can help you make those choices because I can just show you the things that are possible. I have made plenty of choices that I didn't want to, but all those choices, like we just said earlier, it's like none of that was wasted. And I can show people how to move through some of these really gnarly things because I have done a lot of work on my own nervous system and I have found safety in my own body. And that has my body has never felt safe to me. This is a very new thing. And so when you're preparing for these things that are happening, just come back. We're gonna keep talking about all this stuff as we go through the
mhm,
months,
mhm.
and it's gonna be
Yeah,
okay. You're
build
gonna be okay.
community.
Yeah.
Build community. Reach out to people that you love. Build community, and that's part of preparing, and that's part of building safe spaces.
Yeah, we can't do any of this alone. And we've in the West and other places we've just been like rugged individualism, pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of thing. And that's not how we make it through this. Like it was a good experience. We had it again, not judging the severe individualism that we had, but like we are now needing to be something completely different, finding our communities and building out so we can help other people and, help ourselves because we literally cannot do this all alone. And I was one of those people. I was like, oh God, I gotta do everything alone. I gotta learn how to, and it's been really hard accepting help from other people or trusting that I can rely on other people to help me. And, sometimes people do still let you down in ways, but that doesn't mean that's always going to happen or that you should shut down entirely all over again. Because one time something bad happened or somebody let you down. Because I used to do that. I would shut down again and be like, well, fine. People are just proving to me all over again that they can't be trusted to help. And it's like, keep finding those people, keep trusting and keep allowing yourself to receive the help and to offer help to other people, but only to those people that are worth your energy. And again, you have to get in touch with yourself to know who's worth your energy. And so, yeah.
Also, um, this is something that I think a lot of people need to understand, right? You need to fill your cup, right? Generosity for other people is when your cup is full. Anything else is sacrifice. Anything else, when your cup is not full, you are sacrificing for other people. You're sacrificing what you need to be full and complete and happy for other people. That's sacrifice. And if that's your choice, recognize that that's your choice, that it is a sacrifice. But generosity is when your cup is full, that you are free to share. And when you are generous, you don't care what it is that they do with what it is that you give them. You don't. It's surplus. You share it for whoever wants it or whoever asks for it, and you let it go. When you are sacrificing, that shit better go to the right person. I'm telling you. When you are taking from yourself to share to other people, when your cup is not full, better make sure that they're deserving of what it is that you took from yourself.
Well said. Man, what an awesome conversation, Seraphina. You have really added a lot of magic to this little chapter of the Midnight Diner. Chapter 17, the one where the number that we are moving away from to move into a more joyful timeline. So I really appreciate you being here. It was a really great energy to have you on this chat. I've never had a guest on this chat before, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna have a new experience this time around." So I'm really grateful for everything that you added to this, and I'm grateful that you were my friend, and I'm grateful for Shay for doing all those little moderator jobs in the chat. I love you, and I love everyone here. Everything's gonna be okay. We're in for a bumpy ride, but like there's a lot of joy that we can have along the way for our little bumpy ride. So come back to the Midnight Diner if you're ever feeling the need for a sanity check. I love you so much, and yeah, KK out.